everyone, and welcome to the Black Lawyers Podcast. It is Black Women's Month, and I have some incredible Black women with me today. We're recording from DC, so shout out to DC, whoever lives here in DC. I have the incredible AB with me. We have the incredible Jazz, the Venice Squire, and we have the amazing Elizabeth. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to talk to her. So, I just made a little joke. I said, you guys are like my little political trio. Like, like we have like a Destiny's Child, like the three. Like when I think of politics, I'm like, okay, these are the three. Like, who's Beyonce?
Cheers.
You think you're gonna be Beyonce?
Cheers.
Beyonce.
I'm Kelly.
You got the political Destiny's Child D3 with us. We're hoping to see the actual D3 soon. They keep saying rumored that they're gonna have like an actual reunion to back you that with the one vote. So that may be coming. I don't know. Maybe that's Act 3. I don't know.
I will be there.
That's Act 3. It actually would make sense.
I will take out a
second more.
Beyonce ain't doing that. Beyonce ain't doing that.
Beyonce, Michelle, and Kelly, if you're watching this, please get on it. So we are here today to talk about a lot of what's going on. In fact, I reached out to them some time ago, and I said, well, by the time we do the episode, there is so much going on in the world.
Yeah.
So, let's start off because this is Black Women's Month. There is an incredibly high amount of Black femicide happening. I am actually losing count when I scroll on social media. Like every time I see a story, there's a new story. In terms of a story that hits home because it's local, we have Dr. Fairfax, who was killed by her husband. And he was actually the lieutenant governor at one point. And I think a lot of times when we look at Black femicide, the story is usually focused on the person that killed. You don't really learn more. You don't really hear about the person that was killed. It's usually focused, interesting, on the man. But I'm sure you have thoughts on that because we're in a man-centered world that even in your own murder, it's not really about you. So what I love on social media, people are now doing posts about the actual people that have been killed, like who they were they like, I didn't know, she was a dentist and things like that. So just, starting with Elizabeth and just going on down, what are your thoughts about what's happening? Because someone was like, well, Black women have always been killed. It's just maybe because it's social media, like, because someone was like, oh, this is always happening. It just so happens that social media is just so happening to capturing it now.
So, I work in the gun violence prevention advocacy space, and a lot of this Black femicide is being carried out specifically with gun violence. Mm-hmm. So, we are seeing an increase in Black femicide. We are seeing an increase in gun violence, both of those things being combined together. And it's been very enraging to see how many people want to talk about this murderer. Oh, I was in this fraternity with him, and oh, this, that, and the third. He murdered his wife. He turned off, from what I understand, allegedly, he turned off the Wi-Fi because his son was watching something.
Okay.
Knew that would make his wife go into the basement to figure out what was wrong with the Wi-Fi. Allegedly shot her 30 times in the basement.
30 times?
That's what I read. Went upstairs to his room and then killed himself, knowing that his son would go looking for her, knowing he was also going to traumatize his children. That man is a monster. And everybody wants to talk about Black men mental health. And it's the same way that I feel when we start talking about these white boys shooting up these schools. Everybody wants to talk about mental health. No, this is a violence problem. This is an issue with violence. This is an issue with men being violent to women. This is an issue with men carrying out violence against women. And I am so tired of it being couched in this discussion of mental health because that goes far beyond that.
And clearly, yes, it is mental health. We're not saying it's not, but we're saying this is, like you said, this is bigger than that. This is like that, to be honest with you, when you look, not that he's alive to face any charges, but let's just say he had survived. What you just described sounded like premeditation, not heat of passion. Because a little law school lesson. If there's any planning of any sort, then it's first degree. It only gets knocked down. Heat of passion, they sometimes knock it down. So what it sounds like is, again, if this is all true about making sure the Wi-Fi was off, to make sure she went downstairs, to make sure she was back down herself,
because there were cameras in the home. Well, she had installed cameras in the home that would.
No, I did see that in the courtroom.
There was all
I did
of that
see that in the
stuff. So I
courtroom.
know there's some kind of evidence, but the thing is, it's crazy how I had been reading all of these posts about this man and former lieutenant governor, this, that, and the third. It was like a whole week before I found an article that mentioned these details, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and I gotta find those details because, like you said, I think it's getting lost.
And I think this shows.
Yeah.
Someone shooting someone 30 times in a basement is never the first time. If you're in a position where you have cameras set up in your home and you're shooting someone, there were likely acts of violence happening before that. And I think that's where we get into another discussion about Black women in general and the things we do to protect Black men. And I think that's where it gets detrimental. So many Black women are not honest about the violence or are continuing to be in unsafe situations because we don't want to put another Black man in the system. We don't want to put another Black man in an interaction with the cops where he could potentially die. And it's coming to our own detriment. She had cameras in her house, which means that she feared him and was not coming forward, and for what reason. I think that we continually protect people that are out to kill us, and this is just another example of that.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And I'm going to put you here so you don't stretch.
Yeah.
So what are your just general thoughts on, this, and just like how you feel like now that, again, this story hits so locally, how people should be reframing it moving forward?
This is a tough one for me because my profile was murdered by her husband last year, in the garage with their children upstairs, and I'm a domestic violence survivor. So,
no, it's okay. But you know what? You're still here. And there's a reason why you're still here, and you're able to be the voice. I know a little bit about your story. I know that you have mentioned that you've been very transparent about that on your social media. And even with me, I don't directly know the children of Dr. Serena Fairfax, but I know the Fairfax family. So their son died in his sleep and worked for the Kamala Harris campaign. He was about 23. I don't know if you remember him.
Oh, they had a third child.
No. So not Serena family. But I guess he would be maybe like the first cousin to them. So he took a break from school and worked at the White House and actually passed away in his sleep at 23. So when I saw the name Fairfax, I was like, well, what else is going on with the Fairfaxes? Because, we're not even over him passing away. So I guess he would be, those are his, so Dr. Serena's children, those are his first cousins. So, like I said, I think it hits home for a variety, of reasons. And obviously you're still here. So you got out of your situation. Yeah. So if someone is listening to this, because I think Jackson made a good point. If you already had cameras up in your house, this is not like, oh, this is news that this person's going to go off. Is it truly, okay, the first time someone does something, just don't give them grace? What is your recommendation to people?
Yeah, the first time that you experience any type of domestic violence, you need to leave, right? Yeah. A lot of times, again, as Jasmine mentioned, you stay, or from what I've heard, people stay because you do want to protect Black men because you know what happens when there's police interaction. It also depends on what state you live in, whether or not the police are going to show up and help you and support you, right? Because there's been situations where the woman is being abused and maybe she tried to protect herself or something, and now she ends up in prison, or, she's removed from the home. Also considering whether or not a woman has the means to leave. Right? Yeah. A lot of times, you're isolated or you're in this space.
And if you have children with that person, it's just so many layers.
There's so many layers. But I do think that just from working in law, right? I worked at the DA's office, or I interned at the DA's office when I was in law school. And one thing I saw was like domestic violence abusers are the number one recidivators, right? They are going to do it again. And once you open that door, it's hard to close it. Like once that Pandora's box is open, it's tough to close it. But I also think like, if you can, we need to be more open and honest about what's going on in the household and hold these men accountable, right? I have a friend who's an attorney as well, and he said, during the pandemic, for example, he was like, my number of DV cases rose extremely because
everybody was like stuck at the house. So it's like you really, if you didn't know your partner before, you know them through a pandemic. Because usually you go home, you come back, you don't see them, you have space. But if you're around someone all the time, it's like, no, you really can see. And then being stuck in a house during a global pandemic with someone abusing, I can only imagine, because you really have nowhere to run to, literally.
Exactly. So I think it's like being honest and open and holding, these men, and there's women who are abusers too.
Yes,
right. To be clear, but holding abusers accountable, period. If you see your homeboy or you hear your homeboy saying something or he has violent tendencies, you need to be checking him.
Agreed.
It needs to be a community effort because women are held accountable for everything. Right? Women are talked about openly about everything.
Right.
If you're sleeping around or your kids look a certain way, right? Like everyone has something to say, but nobody has anything to say about the men until you have tragedies like this. And all of a sudden, it's mental health. Well, you knew your homeboy was messed up before and he's running around undiagnosed.
Yeah. And I think that was the point Elizabeth was even making as it relates to, let's not make this just about Black mental health. Yes, it starts there, but someone says.
I just want to kind of. It's like so. I'm not a psychologist.
Right. You're not right.
But I studied neuropsychology in school, and it drives me crazy how when people say mental illness, and it's like, there's a lot of mental illness in the DSM-5. There's depression.
Mm-hmm.
There's also things that are not legal, like voyeurism. Right? There's different levels to it. So the reason why I don't like the phrase is because mental health has a positive connotation and people think depression, anxiety. But you don't.
It almost gives it like an excuse to try to put it right under ice.
Exactly. But there are mental disorders. Mm-hmm. There are disorders that are dangerous. That are things that you cannot just say, oh, we can accept this. There's levels to it, right?
And I think it's also a personality. Because, let's just say mental health. If you're used to being in control, if you're used to, think about it. He won a race. He was a successful job. If you're
also have been accused of sexual assault multiple times prior to that.
Right. So there were allegations. Right. So what I say is, if you already have a control issue, you like to win, you like to be right. If those, like you said, that ain't got nothing to do with mental health. That is just a personality thing. And if you don't have people close to you that are willing to, like you said, check you, it can literally snowball and turn into something bigger.
Well, also, let's stop talking about Black men's mental health in conversation with Black femicide. I think the issue is when we talk about, hey, Black men are being murdered, and then everyone's like, well, also, Black men are struggling. And it's like, read the fucking room.
Right.
Am I allowed to cuss?
Yes, you can curse. Yeah.
Read the room. That's not when the conversation should be brought up. Black Men's Mental Health Month is in June. Happy to go to a panel.
Right.
But other than that, let's not just keep bringing it up when the topic and focus should be the issues facing Black women.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, I want to say in all of these, or if not all, most of these incidences, all of these people had children. And I know the one that was in Louisiana, the women didn't even die. The children died. They were killed in their sleep. And thankfully the women, but now they have to get out of the hospital. I don't know how you get out of the hospital and bury all of your children. Like the amount of therapy, and then I think the I don't know if it's like a cousin, because I know there was one child that was not his biological child, that was not killed, to be the only child left. I don't know. There's so many layers to trauma. Your actions just domino effect. And I know these people are not here anymore, right? They kill themselves, they go off, they're not held accountable. But the amount of trauma that these people have left on the people left behind is, to be honest, I can't even put my mind around how these children go on without the right resources.
I just, the Justin Fairfax case, that in particular, I just remember thinking, at least he did not kill those kids. And that's a horrible thought,
right?
Because it's still very sad, but we see that so much where these men will kill their entire.
It's like families. if I can't have it the way I want to have it, we all gonna be gone.
Everybody has to be gone.
And to murder
a child
It's just a whole nother.
That's a level of depravity. I mean, they said the youngest in Louisiana. They said
I think it was like around one,
like 18 months old.
Yeah. I thought it was like 18 months through maybe 13 or 14. So, and obviously my hope, obviously we weren't there, so we wouldn't know. I'm hoping because they were in their sleep, they just don't know. They don't know what was happening to them, because it truly is unthinkable. And I know this person, of course they turned the story on him. Oh, he was a military vet. He was, he did do posts about his mental health. And I'm sure
that's true. My sister likes to point out, as a military veteran, is the military is, yes, being in the military.
Exciting, because a lot of times people say, if you're in the military, you must be crazy. Something must be wrong with you. And I'm like, I don't think that's always the case.
So being in the military can absolutely cause things like PTSD and cause, hurt your mental health because of what you experience.
Okay.
But my sister, a lot of veterans will tell you that the military attracts crazy people. It does. There's so many people that it's like that guy, the American Sniper, who they made a movie about.
Yeah. He already had issues before.
People said,
well, don't they have to take tests though to get in?
No.
Take mental health exams.
It's not.
The police. That's what I was getting ready to say. They say the police also attract people sometimes with certain personalities.
You have to be off to want to kill somebody.
Every profession has a type of personality.
They have a type of personality.
Okay, that is fair.
But even that American Sniper man they try to paint as a hero, he was on record. People said that he used to talk about how he couldn't wait to kill people overseas. That's so the military, for not everybody.
Right, not everybody.
My sister, that's not her at all. She's very peaceful.
My dad.
But you're saying there are some.
It gives you a legal reason to kill. And there's a lot of people who seek out the military and the police because it gives them a legal reason to kill somebody. And that's something that is not really addressed. And also the bar for getting into the military is it's in hell. It's in hell. It ain't nothing to get into the military. Let's be for real.
Because like you said, a lot of people don't even want to join, so they want to take anybody that's willing to kind of sign up, which is a good transition to our second topic. She was just educating me. I'm sure you have seen in the news that, there's this automatic registration for the draft. If you're, 18 to 25, they get ready to send everybody to war. Explain exactly what the rule was prior to this and why the new rule actually helps as it relates to bringing down the criminality element.
Yeah, you are required as a man in America at the age of 18, before the age of 25, you have to register for the draft. This has been a legal requirement since Jimmy Carter, I believe.
Right.
So decades and decades, okay? This is something that young men, for the most part, across the country know. My husband, he don't keep up with nothing. That man don't know his insurance information. He don't be keeping up with his bank account. I mean, it's all this stuff. But when he was applying for federal jobs and I was helping with the application, I saw the spot that said register for the draft and asked for a confirmation number for his registration. He was like, oh yeah, I did that, and went to the website to look up his name and his social security number, get his little draft number. And I said, oh my God, like even my husband did that, as an 18, 19-year-old, whatever he did. And so this is something that, young men and men across America know about. However, there are many also who do not because of disenfranchisement, lack of education information. If you don't register for the draft because it is legally required, you can face criminal penalties. You will be barred from getting federal positions. You could be barred from joining the military voluntarily. You could be barred from getting federal grant money for school, through your FAFSA and everything like that. There's a lot of penalties to it. And so that's really unfair to young men who didn't know that they were legally required to register for this. So now with the automatic registration, it just cuts it all out. It doesn't change anything about what the legal requirements were for the draft. It doesn't change that, but now we're not going to unfairly penalize some young men who didn't know in their, late teens, early 20s that they needed to register for this draft. Now they may have.
Love how we can legally register, easily register, automatically register for the draft, but we can't automatically register people to vote.
Isn't that a hot mess?
It's very interesting that we can, we could just make up rules and then magically.
Isn't that fun?
But what if the counter argument is, I know you're saying there are penalties, but what if I don't want to be drafted because I don't want to go to war?
I'm doing Malcolm X to play crazy.
Right. So in a way, That's like crazy.
She said no.
That's so
I mean, you have an argument to that I don't want to be automatically registered.
No, you can be automatically registered, but then if you get called up right there as a draft, like with Muhammad Ali, he claimed religious exemption. Like I can't, whatever. There are exemptions to not be drafted, but it's just
So I would have to know. People probably off the top may not know.
Yeah, you can be automatically registered and then just be dismissed because of health reasons, disability.
They don't want nobody.
They don't want nobody with that. No,
China too.
The bone spurs. You got some messed up.
Oh, is that what you claims?
Deontay Kyle was just talking about this. He was talking about that. He's like, "Where's MAGA? Y'all love your country so much. Y'all are the patriotic party. You want to defend your country. Now's your time." He's like, "There shouldn't be
time to shine."
Right? He's like, "There shouldn't even be a draft because y'all love your country so much. All y'all can sign up now. We good to go."
It was plenty of them on January 6th.
Plenty of them.
Hey.
Plenty. Now's your time to do that for us.
Now the January 6th, his name, he ain't signed for the military. You see that one January 6er, they said lives in downtown Silver Spring, and he was caught on video grabbing women's hair on the metro, like touching on their hair. Yeah, so that's what he's doing. He's not serving his country. He's touching women's hair.
Oh, gosh.
Not even like he's doing it like creepy. Like, it's terrible video.
I will say,
I hope he gets punched in the face. If I see him on the metro,
you'll do it for us.
If I see you on the metro, I'm knocking you clean out.
well, Liz just taught me how to fight.
So I'm ready to get her lawyer out.
Oh, my. Like,
That's my entire
you do this time. Have the bail money ready. Yeah, for sure.
I will say when this news came out, I did text the group chat and I was like, "Hey, feminists, love us, but we're taking a week off because now is not the time for everyone to be thinking I can do everything a man can." They just reinstated the draft, so if anyone asks, I'm at home churning butter.
So there's some other legislation going because it's just like I feel like every week he's just like proposing something. It's not legal. It's against the Constitution, but he's like, let's propose it anyway. So Trump, because I refuse to put the word president in front of his name, is right now, recently, he got in this shiny vehicle and rolled up to the Supreme Court, and he was like, you got to hear me out on this birthright citizenship thing. So if you're not aware, he has been pushing to, immigration is something I will say he did run on. He ran on it. That was like one of his big things. And one of the things he's focusing on right now, children that are legally born here under birthright citizenship can stay even if they have parents that are not legally here. And, a conservative argument says, well, they're only having children here so that they can continue to stay here legally. But then there's the argument of how do you separate families? So starting with AB, what are your thoughts on just like, again, it has not been.
You should have started with her because she's the one who sat and listened all 2 some hours in the argument.
We'll go down the line.
Oh, man.
We'll go down the line.
That was funny. That oral argument was funny. So, okay, Trump's Solicitor General, John Sauer, he sounded a little like RFK Jr. Like, RFK Jr. sounds like this. But John Sauer. I can't tolerate it. So he's like a lighter version.
Okay.
Anyway, so he had this whole argument. That was a dang mess. I told my 2Os and my 3Os, don't ever embarrass me like that. Y'all go listen to that oral argument. Don't ever do that. So Trump came and he watched. It's the first time that a president is coming to watch the Supreme Court oral argument. He sat in there. And everybody, all the way down to the conservative justices, were not fooling with that argument. They were not fooling with Sauer and the Solicitor General. And that man said domicile so many times you would die of alcohol poisoning if you took a shot every time you said it. He was arguing about this whole thing about being domiciled.
Okay.
And nobody was fooling with it.
Okay.
Like I said, even the conservative justices were like. And then Amy Coney Barrett, she got on to him a little bit because, she's got Haitian immigrant children.
Yeah.
So, and then she was playing into him some too. So then Cecilia Wang, shout out Cecilia Wang, she was the attorney for the ACLU who got up and argued against the Trump administration. And they asked her, that man went on and on about domicile for so long. They asked her, what about this domicile? And she said, oh, well, in the beginning of the Wong Kim arc, the president, wherever she said it, she cited it. She said, yeah, they said that being domiciled is irrelevant. And she just killed the argument in 90 seconds. She killed the whole argument, his whole argument in 90 seconds. In between this, Trump stormed out because he was getting upset because it wasn't looking good. Mind you, this was right when and then he fired Pam Bondi right after this. I think this is related. He was pissed.
She
So
was
all
with
that
him too,
happened.
wasn't she?
Huh?
She rode with him too, didn't she?
Yeah, because that's his, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Celia gets they're going back and forth. They're setting up her argument, layup. And I think it was Justice Alito who said something about, well, if we just go ahead and agree with your argument with Juan Camar, you basically win. We have a very short opinion. And they all just went, ha, 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 and the entire courtroom just laughed. And she was like, well, we'll take the win however we can get it. And then they just kept that. I said, oh, this is going to be a good Supreme Court opinion. I'm expecting a 9-0. Yeah. I am expecting a 9-0 from that oral argument. Because they were just not, even the conservative justices were like, this is crazy.
The Constitution, and no, it's not perfect, obviously, because one of the four things the forefathers did not think about was putting in certain rules about who could even run for president. You know, I don't think they thought that we would have someone like Trump ever running for president. So they purposely left out that you could be arrested.
I'll make the caveat that they did not.
Because if they put that you could never been arrested, then he or charged.
Well, maybe not necessarily in that regard, but I think that they broke away from the king for a reason.
Okay,
right?
True.
So, granted, it's hard for them to forethink 200 years earlier how bad, how much of a criminal, but they also said, like, look, this is up to y'all as a citizens to keep this thing going the way you need to. And they threw us the alley-oop to be able to modify the Constitution.
And do the amendments. And do amendments.
The way that we were supposed to. Also considering the time that it was established and created, right? And the time that we were in. Did we forethink that Americans would be idiotic enough to vote for a 34 unconvicted felony?
Right.
Or
they probably thought just the citizenship would be
part of it is that they had about 20, 22, 23 people who were alive over the age of 35 who could be president. Because they were dying because they was drinking mulled wine.
I was going to say, the founding fathers were in their 20s.
They died at the ripe old age of caught a cold. And that's what happened. And there's been no 70-some-year-old crazy man with a million wives who's diddling on children and a child diddler. They said that they didn't expect Chester the molester up in there.
Right.
And that was kind of normal.
Their wives would be like 12 years old. This is true. Well, their wives would be 12 because they died at the ripe old age of childbirth.
That's true. Which segues to just a quick bonus topic I want to discuss with you, because we are in 2026. We are getting ready to, whoever is running for president is probably going to make their announcement pretty soon, whether it be Kamala Harris, who did mention that she may run again. Obviously, I'm sure there's some other candidates that are thinking, well, I love Kamala Harris, and I think if she wants to run again, she should. What do you think is our best chance at a candidate at this point? Because to your point, they have to be that we have to have the majority of people vote. So it could be. It's not about who's. We already know she's probably the most qualified, right?
We have several.
Several. Okay, so because people are like, listen. If she's the best, if she is the most qualified and she runs again and people still just don't want to vote for her, we still end up with the same results. So
go ahead, AB.
Oh my God. Okay. People are going to be so mad at me, but my dream team is a Gavin Newsom Westmore ticket.
Oh, I love that.
I like the political capital of them both together. I just feel like that would be a reasonable alliance, and you have both sides of the coast.
Their wives are both baddies.
They're both amazing. They're baddies, amazing women. Yeah. And I think like that. I don't know, but then I'll also take
Andy Bashir.
I'll take that.
I am team Andy Bashir for right now. I got to meet with Andy. I was like, I gotta talk to this man. I gotta see how I feel.
Okay.
And I talked to that man, and I was like, oh wow.
Who do you think he should run with?
I think that Andy Bashir and Westmore would be amazing.
So we take the ticket regardless.
But here's the thing. That's the thing. That's like a
you think he's just not ready?
He doesn't want to.
He probably likes being governor.
We like him being governor of Maryland. We love him in Maryland.
I see.
We don't
really. You guys don't have a term limit?
I mean, he's running right now for his second term.
No, I'm saying because like Texas doesn't have term limits.
Can you keep running?
No.
Okay.
But I'm saying like he's only now in his first.
Seconds. Yeah.
He's in his first. So he loves being governor. He's really good at it. And Maryland is doing very well under his
leadership. But you don't think eventually they're not prepping him to run for president? I kind of feel like
I mean, he has like the military background and everything. Like,
yeah, I can't imagine. Let's put it this way. I think he's been approached.
Oh, many times.
Yeah.
Oh, there's no thing.
He
has many times. Yeah. But I will say, I want to see First Lady Dawn more in the White House.
Yeah.
Okay, because I love Westmore.
Yeah.
But I love the First Lady even more.
Yeah, I love that.
And our First Lady of Maryland, so I'm like, I could see her rocking it out. Just being like the most epic First Lady ever. So I'm here for it. But for 2028, in all seriousness, Andy Beshear is a Democratic governor in a red state who has an excellent approval rating. And he does not play. And I'm sorry to Gavin, sorry to that man. But Andy is who Gavin thinks he is. Because Andy does not play. So while Gavin be folding on stuff like transgender rights, so that
I'm clear because he will clarify and say in sports.
But Andy don't fold on the sports. Andy don't fold ever on trans rights. And he said to me, I said, what made it so easy for you to veto? He said, he's so country. He said, I vetoed every piece of anti-trans legislation came across my desk because they're God's children.
Yep.
And I love God's children. And that's not right.
There we have it. That's
right. And then I looked at him and I understood. I was, are you tall? So how tall are you? He said 6'2". I said, okay, yeah, you could be president.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to be tall.
So Jasmine, you have any thoughts on, are you kind of on, I know you're like Westmore for sure, not that he is running.
Well, so I'm from California too.
Okay.
So I love Gavin Newsom. Okay. What I will say is I think that Gavin Newsom's strategy is very interesting. I really think he's actually trying to appease white voters a lot.
But I keep saying that he's like a Bill Clinton.
Yeah, I will say he would have won.
That.
I said that if he ran in 2024 on the exact same platform as Kamala Harris, he would have won. I swear he would have won.
Yeah, he probably would have.
But I also think that with Andy Beshear, I think we can benefit from someone that we don't know a lot about. Okay. I think when we know a lot about someone,
Barack Obama,
he snuck in, so
he just kind of got on in there.
We weren't able to say he voted this way on this thing, and then the one time.
So there is a benefit of not knowing.
Andy, I didn't really know him until recently. Which is crazy. Like I feel like I should, but like, and even now we don't know much about him outside of the things that he's been outspoken on a little bit, and the things that make the news. I think we could benefit from someone like that, where we can't literally debunk their entire like candidacy or platform or everything. Because Democrats, I think we try to like outsmart each other and be like the best leftists on the planet, and like this person, we need them down ballot, all 10 things, blah blah blah. Like we need someone with a little bit of mystery.
Also, I want a little Kentucky Fried President.
I'm here for it.
Love it.
Absolutely. Well, the last topic I want to end in, because I want to end on a light note. I know you guys have seen the Drewski episode.
Yes.
It was his conservative woman episode. And obviously, with how he dressed, his hair, the stare, it looked a lot like Erica Kirk, who is Charlie Kirk's widow. And so, there was a rumor that she was going to, file a lawsuit and, send him a cease and desist. Obviously, as of now, that has not legally actually happened. And it's probably because of our Constitution protects parody. It protects free speech. And actually, the more visible you are, the higher you are in terms of someone being visible, especially a political figure, it's actually even harder to sue someone. And so, with her being the CEO of Turning Point USA and coming out with fireworks, I mean, she gave him the material. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The material literally wrote itself. The rumor says that he is supposed to be also doing JD Vance pretty soon. So we'll see. Because I know JD Vance was very outspoken about what he did with Erica. What are your thoughts on just like parody and like, because Jasmine, you mentioned before, you were like, I've never seen Drewski, he stays on the comedy side. Like, he's not really political. So tell us your theory of why you think he's done this.
Well, I have 2 points on just in general. First of all, I don't know what organization got to Drewski to get him to create this skit, but keep going. Like, please. Seriously, because Drewski has never made this type of content. He's done skits, but he's never done political skits. And so I think he is the perfect person to be doing this, because a lot of people that follow Drewski probably aren't there for politics. So we're reaching a whole other demographic by someone like Drewski talking about this. So whoever's behind it, keep it going.
Keep it going.
Second of all, comedians are the perfect people to do this type of work. work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one, you talked about how our Constitution protects parity, but two, people rely on comedians for so many different things. I think that some issue that politicians make is they keep wanting you to care about their platform, but the only time that they speak to you is about politics.
Yeah.
Whereas comedians are involved in every single part of your life. We're there at your lowest point, we're there to make you laugh, we're there to make you happy. We talk about our lives, we talk about death, we talk about life, we talk about jobs, we talk everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk to you about politics, it feels like we care.
And I've seen Jasmine, by the way. I've seen her on stage randomly. I was with a boyfriend at the time, not now, but at the time. And I saw a show, and I was like, why do I feel like I know this person stayed up on the stage? And the closer I got to it, I was like, oh my God, that's
Yes.
Jasmine. I didn't even know she had done it. So for you to be a lawyer, a comedian, I mean, you're like the trifecta. You definitely are one to see.
You know what's funny? That's how we met.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because someone kept booking me on a show.
White men kept booking the wrong one.
And so I'm like, how are y'all getting confused? I'm a 5'10" black lawyer comedian. They ain't no another bitch like me. Okay.
Well, apparently, Michelle.
Michelle, they were like, no, there's other 5'10" black lawyers.
Right, because they're not usually.
And we started comedy at the same time.
Yeah.
What's your anniversary?
May 4th.
Yeah, mine's July something.
Yeah, we're about to.
So yeah, and so anyway,
interesting.
it's very funny. So that's how we got into it. And as far as parody, I played Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
I've played Tulsi Gabbard. I've played Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
Speaks to, because that's the first thing they did with the Nazis. They got rid of like comedy and entertainment, and they get rid of the arts. That's the first thing they go after.
So I will. Interesting point. The reason they got rid of the arts because they got rid of the gays.
Interesting.
Oh,
that actually.
Gays.
I see how that makes. Oh wow! And so that's what I'm saying.
It's the same reason why the mag women don't got nobody to do their hair.
Oh well, there's that.
And that's why the makeup looks like it does
because
they don't got no gay friends. Nobody likes them.
Here we are.
Doesn't count.
Let me be their lawyer. Allegedly, this is alleged. No, but I do think we have to, protect that. That's something that we can't get rid of. Like we can't be too serious, but we can't even make fun of ourselves to the point where it's like, oh, you're going to get sued if you say this. I mean, I think Kenya Barris, Blackish, was just on Breakfast Club. He was like, yeah, I just took Blackish away from ABC. Like, I left because they wouldn't leave in certain episodes. They wouldn't let me do the Colin Kaepernick episode. They wouldn't let me tell certain jokes. Like, they were afraid. There was, I think, a merger going on. Yeah. And they knew Trump was monitoring the merger, and I think it's like between Fox and like Disney Studios or something. It was a merger, and he was like, like, no offense, it was like, I love the president or whatever, but he was just being too careful for me. I was like, no, I'm starting to feel like this is censorship. Like I can't put what I want in that episode. So I think we can't get too far away from that being able to make. Again, it's part of the First Amendment. It's part of the Constitution. It's part of free speech. So we're definitely gonna look out for Drew any further. I definitely think it's opening it up to, I would say, a audience, right? That wasn't there because some people just don't want to think about politics. They don't want to be involved.
A lot of people
ask questions.
They had two women that they guessed he was portraying in there: Caroline Levitt and Erica Kirk.
Right.
And then you had a bunch of people who didn't know who either two of these women were.
Right.
Suddenly looking them up. Right. Being like, oh my God, they're crazy. Like, yeah, they're crazy.
Yeah, so I think it's also like an educational thing. It opens it up to a new audience. And God knows, because like you said, we don't have people automatically registered to vote. We need people to care about politics. I call them my political trio, my political destiny child. We want people that look like you, sound like you, to continue to talk, because the way we're going, if we don't have the right people in all levels of office, whether it be on the national or the state level, it's starting to look like The Handmaid's Tale. Like it can, if you know anything about that story, everything didn't start right away.
Right.
They just started to do just little things like, oh, okay, all of a sudden women can't go to work anymore. Like, all right, fine, we can't go to work. It was just like one thing after another, and then you just look up and you're in this completely different society, right, that you don't recognize. And so, folks like you obviously help to fight that narrative. You guys don't disseminate misinformation, because that's also just like a big thing, misinformation. And so I just want to say I appreciate you guys. If nobody don't appreciate, I appreciate you. The Black Lawyers Podcast. A lot of people that follow the podcast obviously probably already follow you guys, but if you don't already follow them, your Instagram.
I am legally hype.
Finesse Squire.
Booker Square.
Booker Square. Yes, please follow them. We always end with a Black Excellence Moment of the Week. So our Black Excellence Moment of the Week goes to Jasmine Crockett, who, like Kamala Harris, ran and did not win. I think it is just, again, not that the person that she ran against wasn't qualified, but well, I guess in certain areas. I still think she's more qualified.
Racially qualified, according to
that's about it.
Right. Well, but I also think it's like a gender thing too. I still think when I look at it, I still feel like for whatever reason, people don't want to vote for women. I feel like it's gender and then it's race for me.
Big Grinch.
I was about to say Gretchen Whitmer in was she Michigan?
I know, but like across the board, don't you think people feel more comfortable voting for men than women?
I think so. I do think across the board for sure. We have like the people who break through for sure, but yeah, the misogynoir is still.
It was very close. It wasn't like there was this huge discrepancy, and so, but we don't know what's next for her. Whether she's like interviewing for law firms, some other stuff. I don't know. Look, they know more than I do. So whenever it comes out,
all
it comes out.
She's gonna have an amazing career after she steps out of office, and that's all I'm gonna say.
I continue to support whatever she does.
Support her.
We don't know what it is.
For the people that hated on her and were like, ha ha ha, she's not gonna make it office anymore.
Right.
That's a loss for us. She gonna be fine.
Yeah. Right. And I think that some people feel that way, like, oh, you thought you were gonna win, and now you don't even have a Congress seat. It
needs to be said very clearly that Jasmine Crockett was missing out on money and opportunities to serve the people. This was to be a public servant. She didn't get rich off of this. It's not just that she didn't get rich off, but she had the opportunity to be rich already in other ways and push that aside to be a public servant. And I don't think people understand the level of dedication and sacrifice for somebody. Because she could have, after her first term especially, she could have been off doing whatever. Right. She chose to serve the public, and I really
and then run for another office.
Run for another office, and do 6 years. 6 years. So once again, to put any personal, financial, and whatever ambitions on the back burner to serve people for 6 years, and I just need people to put some respect on her name because people have been very.
That's why we were giving her our Black Excellence Moment of the Week. She's been on the podcast before, but we wanted to shout her out. You did everything you were supposed to do. Job well done.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't at the end of the day make people vote for you, and so
you can lead people to water, but you can't make them drink.
Exactly. And so we're rooting for whatever Jasmine Crockett is doing next. We're obviously rooting for whatever you guys are doing next. Is there anything you guys would like to plug before we close out? Anything that you're working on? I know you guys are doing comedy and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. So July 15th, that is the date we currently have set for a DC Comedy Loft in DuPont Circle in the upstairs room. Okay. We are doing a fundraiser comedy show to raise money for the legal funds for LaMonica McIver. Congresswoman LaMonica McIver is still facing 17 years in prison for federal charges for doing her damn job, for doing her Black job and going to inspect an ICE facility. And when people started shoving forward, keeping her body safe as well as the body of 80-year-old Bonnie Watson Coleman. And that's just wrong. So we are going to fundraise for her legal funds.
Okay. Is there anything else, Jasmine, you want to plug? Anything that's going on? Business, comedy, whatever? No, Okay. It's fine. Anything, any projects, any organizations you work with, anything you want to support?
Well, people are crazy. I just want people to know where I'm at.
Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Shout out to California Innocence Advocates. We need money too.
Okay. They can find the information on your page, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So support anything that they're support. Please support them. Also, throw your cash apps out there. It's Black Women's Month. Come on. No. Which cash app? Quick.
Yeah.
They be doing that. Our supporters be sending money to our guests. So put it out there.
$Chacola Trey. 3 instead of a 3 at the end. Instead of an E, excuse me.
What's mine's Jazzy Beats with 2 Y's and 2 S's.
Okay.
It's S's or Z's?
Jazzy Beats. S's at that.
Oh, S's at the end.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well mine is $1 Booker Square. It's just
Very simple. Yeah. Bless the guests. Please bless the guests. They educated us. They entertained us today. This has been the Black Lawyers Podcast. And as always, we are rooting for everyone Black. Take care, everyone.